Hi, welcome to the Wildlife Wins podcast. I'm Janet Granger, and we're here to celebrate victories for all animals, wild and domestic. We're here for those who care about animals and need the good news of what's happening in the world, sharing stories of wildlife and domestic animal wins from scientists, nonprofits, and educators. So today I'm really excited. We're welcoming the Motley Zoo Animal Rescue and Jamie. Thank you so much for being here, Jamie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Jamie's been rescuing animals for more than 18 years, working especially with behavioral and medical cases with both dogs and cats, as well as with small animals, some livestock, and wildlife. Jamie and her husband founded Motley Zoo Animal Rescue back in 2009 and have since rescued more than 5,000 animals, fostering more than 1,500 herself. I read that and I just get tired. Jamie has a deep passion for animals, vegetarianism, and the environment and travel. So, Jamie, please tell me more about the Motley Zoo Animal Rescue. I want to hear all about how this thing started.
So we're a rock and roll themed rescue, and it was one of those things where when I was working with other organizations, people would say to me, if you had a rescue of your own, what would you call it? And the name Motley Zoo just kind of stuck, and I would say it and people would laugh, and I was like, that's not bad. And so when we actually got to the point where it became a vision, I was really glad that everybody voted for it, first of all. But it I knew that if there were a bunch of grants on someone's desk and they read the name Motley Zoo, that might stick out in their mind a little bit, and they'd be like, what's that about? So yeah, and then we stick with the theme, naming all our animals after musicians, things like that. And we actually are the first to pioneer the backstage meet and greet. So you'll see in magazines and on TV and stuff that bands have animals backstage. But we were actually the first to really do that in 2013. Nobody knows that.
Wow,
I
that's
know.
so cool.
So it's really cool, and it came about from a dream of mine. I dreamt that the animals we named after one of the bands that we like, I dreamt that I brought them to the show to meet the artists, and the artist thought it was cool and wanted to take pictures and help them get adopted. So when I woke up, I told my husband, and we were laughing at how ridiculous it was. And I just stopped laughing, and I was like, I'm going to do that. And he's like, what? And he's like, you're going to bring kittens to a concert? And I was like, yes, I'm going to go to the back door with my little crate of kittens, and I'm just going to be like, hey, these kittens are named after the band. Maybe they want to meet them and help them get adopted. And it went exactly as my dream. So from there, my husband challenged me because Snoop Dogg was coming next, and then Slayer. And he's like, well, let's see what you can do with that. And those happened too. And so it just kind of became this thing that we became known for. And then other organizations started doing it, and other bands started requesting it. And so it's become this movement that it's very exciting. So I'm really excited about it, and that it helps so many animals, and it's good therapy for the bands.
And I love that you dreamed it into happening, like literally.
Yeah, I just I'm ridiculous enough about and passionate enough about what I do that I am not going to feel silly trying something. So I just thought, oh well, the worst they'll tell me is no, and send me home.
Right,
But they
exactly.
didn't.
Worst
They
that can
didn't.
happen is they go, no kittens.
Yeah, sorry, we don't like kittens, or we're allergic, or no. So yeah, it didn't happen that way.
Wow.
And I was able to thank the band. They're a punk band called Rancid. I was able to thank them later, a few years later, and tell them that because of their attitude, their response to the whole scenario, that they started this movement, and we just ran with it. So
And how did they feel about that?
they were really excited. Like they were very touched. They're all animal people, and the singer, especially Tim, he's kind of quiet, but he was just like, oh my gosh, like he was so happy that I don't know, so much good has come from it, and such a random thing.
So, speaking of which, so much good has come from it. I want to hear a recent success story. We're here to talk about wins. So, can you give us a recent win?
Sure. We received this dog. Maybe he was about a year old, and he was a Hungarian Pumi. So it's one of those breeds that they get really kind of curly hair. They look a little bit like a poodle, but they're very intense herding dogs. And someone breeder had sold it to the family of like a 90-year-old woman in an apartment. And so, like, obviously those things weren't going to go very well.
Not a good
And
match. No.
no. And so they called us and said, "Hey, we really can't keep this dog." I don't know if she went into assisted living or if she actually passed, but then no one wanted the dog either. And so we took this 1-year-old Pumi, and he is the most intense dog that I have ever met. I have never met a dog that doesn't tire. And, I mean, literally, your arm would be falling off before he would ever stop trying to chase. So he really needs a job. He's just a very, very busy dog. And it took like so many people wanted him because he was really cute, and he looks like a doodle or something like that. But, just they were not prepared for what he is. And so even a few people were like, "We don't think it's a good match, but we're going to let you come out to the property, see, a couple different dogs, but here, meet him." And they were like, "Oh yeah, no, no, no." So so sometimes you have to just let people make that decision for themselves. And it took over 3 years to find him a home. And I will
Oh,
say in the last couple of years, adoptions have slowed down a lot. Things are changing in animal welfare significantly, and it's not for the better. So, part of that is just adoption slowing down. And we've had more animals staying for years than we've ever had in the past. But he
wow.
stayed for 3 years. And finally, someone who is Hungarian, and they grew up with their grandparents raising pumis, and they have a pumi of their own, found him. I know. Like, this is like the miracle story that you would
It
like.
is a miracle. Wow.
And so they came and met him, and they met him a couple times because they just, wanted to make sure. And the funny thing is that he is so well behaved, even though he's intense. Like, he's very well trained. I mean, we've had 3 years to train him. Their dog is the dog that they're like, they're struggling with their dog being as well behaved as our dog. So
Wow.
that to me is a really big success, because not only does he have someone who truly understands him, but he's a shining example of a rescue, of what training can do, of all of the things put together. And so he's a really happy dog, and they're very happy, and they bring him back to visit us sometimes. So that's one of my favorite stories, and it's pretty recent. But yeah, it was like the day he got adopted, I was just so glad. I cried.
Wow. That is an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing. And talk about waiting for the perfect family, right? You have to have the perfect adopter. So, wow, what a great organization. So, how can people learn more about Motley Zoo Animal Rescue and what you do?
Sure. I mean, our website is motleyzooanimalrescue.org, and that's our name on socials too. On Facebook and Instagram are the primary ones that we do. We share a lot of stories of animals that are adoptable, animals that have been adopted, and their success stories. We do a lot of events, especially around our community. So we're out at festivals. We do kind of like businesses will make a donation for us to come and bring puppies or kittens to a
And
morale
you're
event.
located where?
Oh, sorry. We're in outside of Seattle, Washington.
Perfect.
So yeah, so we travel throughout the state. We go to concerts. We um, sell our merch at different festivals. So we're out and about. And then obviously, if you want to volunteer or foster, those are things you can apply to do, and apply to adopt our dogs or cats, or bunnies or guinea pigs. Sometimes we have them too. uh, yeah, as the name zoo implies, we intended to never limit ourselves by species, but primarily it's mostly companion animals. So
Excellent.
there's a lot to learn, and we have a lot of information on our website too about trying to help people through issues, if they need resources, if they need advice or support. I spend a lot of time writing very personal emails to each person who writes us, and it is very taxing, I will admit. Sometimes it is emotionally very draining, but I feel like each person really deserves a response that's not generic, that is customized to them, their situation, and where I can really tell them that they're heard. I feel for them, I understand, and here's what we can do to help, or here's how you can help yourself, help your pets. So
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you so much for starting the Motley Zoo Animal Rescue and for making backstage animals a thing.
I know.
And
I even wrote Rolling Stone, and I was like, "Hey, you might want to know how this all started," because they feature a lot of those stories.
sure,
They didn't write back, but that's okay.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Someday maybe they will.
yeah,
Um,
maybe.
all right. Thank you, Jamie. And I hope you all will check out motleyzooanimalrescue.org and learn more. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.